And good afternoon, everyone, from the lobby of Bruner Motors on the corner of the South Loop and Lillian Street in Stephenville. Make sure you stop by. Plenty of food courtesy of the pizza place. We have refreshments and Tarleton athletic giveaways later in the half hour. The Coach Lonn Reisman radio show is sponsored by the Bruner Auto family, so we thank them for their support in making the show possible. Coach, you look a little more put together than you did at the end of that game on Tuesday night. You know, your shirt was untucked, your hair was up, and you had water all over you. And
well, Casey, it definitely was a memorable night in Wisdom Gym. Great crowd, just unbelievable atmosphere and the support that we had going into that regional final. You can't explain the feeling because you just felt like our team was just not a part of it, but everybody in that gym was just a part of that victory.
And Ryan Cox, our new assistant director of sports information, his eardrums actually busted. He had to go to the hospital. It was that loud in Wisdom Gym, Coach, and you never wish that upon someone, but 2,700 fans in that arena, Coach. Have you ever seen an atmosphere quite like that at Wisdom?
Well, it's probably not, Casey. I mean, we've had some great ball games in there, and we've had some great times in there. But that just seemed like everything in that game was just something special, and it was back and forth all night. Two great teams going against each other.
No doubt about it, and we will talk more about that game later, but let's get it started by talking about the first two rounds of the South Central NCAA tournament that for the fourth time in history was hosted at Wisdom Gymnasium, and the tournament got kicked off in the first round. That would have been on Saturday against St. Mary's, the number 8 seed, the Heartland Conference regular season and tournament championships. Coach Shelsnack's squad making their fourth straight trip to the NCAA tournament at 20 wins and 9 losses. You would win that game by 19, and I know you thought that was a very difficult first round matchup.
I thought it was. I mean, they came in winning 7 in a row. They had just won their conference championship, and I know St. Mary's has a tremendous basketball tradition. Coach Meyer was down there for years, and Jim was his assistant. He's a Hall of Famer, and Jim's taken right where Coach Meyer left off. Jim's done a great job there. They've been in the NCAA tournament 4 straight years in a row, so it was nothing was new to them being in the tournament. They had been there, and their players had been there, so we thought it was a very, very tough matchup, the first matchup.
And I talked with Coach Shelsnack about this before the game, but these two teams, these two programs really built the same way. Discipline, great defense, rebounding. Would you agree?
Yeah, and I would agree entirely. And St. Mary's was a very physical basketball team. We had played them earlier in the year, and it was a very tough ball game then. Their kids are the type of kids that play and don't quit. They're going to be there every play that there is during the ball game. And so we have a tremendous amount of respect for their program.
When you look at the stat sheet, 17 turnovers for St. Mary's. They don't turn over the ball a lot traditionally on the year. You turn it over only 8 times. Was that the biggest difference in the game?
Well, I think so. I mean, turnovers are big in a game of that caliber, and you can keep it below 10 or below 12. We're very happy every time we go out. And we wanted to compete on the backboards, and they're a very good rebounding team. But I thought the big thing is that we shot the ball well that night. And when you get in tournament play and you can shoot the ball over 50%, you got a chance to win and keep your turnovers down. You have an opportunity.
Davonate Carter came into that game averaging about 6 points and 4.5 boards per game. He had a career high 21, a team high 6 rebounds, 2 boards, and 2 steals, and he really stepped up when it mattered most.
He really did. He's really played well, and he brings energy to our team, and he's been in 4 NCAA tournaments, and that's a lot of difference. He's experienced, and I thought we had some real balanced scoring that night. He played well, but I thought we had other people that really balanced it out. I'm not sure. I think we had 3 or 4 people scoring double figures, yes. And I think when you can spread it around like that, and everybody's playing that well, you have an opportunity to win a game.
How good does it feel to get that first win in the tournament? So much pressure. The expectations are so high hosting.
Well, there is no doubt about it, Casey. All week long, you don't want to disappoint your fans. You don't want to disappoint this community and this university. And you finally get a regional here, and you definitely don't want to lose in the first round. No. Your fans who bought all those tickets are sitting around watching somebody else play with Tarleton State University. And so if you ask me, did I feel the pressure? Well, I didn't let anybody know, but sure, I felt the pressure on that week. That's a tough week, and you want to do you really want to win. And then besides that, we have hosted 3 regionals here and never won one. We've won regionals, but they've been on the road in Bolivar, Missouri, and we went over Commerce to go to the Elite 8. So I was kind of, didn't want to, that bothered me all week also too. I didn't want to disappoint again, and so our 6th regional championship and to win it at home was very special to win it at Tarleton.
So you advance to the second round for the 9th time in school history. You take on in the second round of a tournament, you take on the number 10 team in the nation, 27-5 Colorado Springs, making their 2nd ever NCAA tournament appearance. And the big story of this tournament, really, in the opening round was Derek White. He had 50 of their 90 points when they beat Colorado Mines in the opening round. When you were scouting that game and watching White do what he was doing, what were you thinking?
Well, we knew he was a tremendous player. There's no doubt about that. We knew that, we've watched him through the year, and we knew of his reputation up in the RMAC, and I think he's averaging 26 points a game.
Third in the nation.
And just a tremendous scorer. And and when watching him that night score 50, you just don't see 50 points put up in Wisdom Gym very often. And we knew we had to get a game plan put together to shut him down.
And you did that. You hold them to 19.7 points under his season average. You hold Colorado Springs, the number 9 scoring offense in the nation, to a season low 62 points. Talk about that plan and the execution of it.
Well, we definitely, we wanted to make it as tough for him and uncomfortable for him as it could be on our defensive game plan. And I thought our kids did a very good job of really working on it. You got to remember that, Nosa is just a freshman, and he went out there and did a tremendous job. And I think, Malcolm came in and helped him on that situation. And they really, he got 19 points, but he got it on 17 shots. And I was really pleased with the way they executed the game plan. I thought we really worked hard defensively and kept the game into the 60s where we wanted to. Actually, we shot the ball extremely well that night. I don't know what we shot, but we shot over 53% again. And really came out of the gate and really was shooting the ball well from the field, and we're able to widen that lead and went into halftime, and knowing that they're a very explosive team, we had to make sure that we came out in the second half and played very well, and I thought our kids rose to the challenge.
So during the semifinals, there was 4 teams left in the South Central region, 3 of them from the Lone Star, then an all Lone Star Conference regional championship. Does that really prove that the Lone Star was the toughest conference in this region?
Well, I think it was this year. I don't think there's any doubt. I think anybody else would tell you that. It was a very tough league. We had some, I've been in this league a long time. I thought it was top to bottom. We had some teams in here that were just above average, just very outstanding teams, and it looks like that when you see in this regional and people that advance through the regional. Just a very tough league this year.
With the 84-62 win over the Mountain Lions, Tarleton State advanced to the Sweet 16 for the 5th time in school history and would look for the program's first ever South Central Regional Championship at Wisdom Gym. When we return in 1 minute, Coach and I will relive that classic game against Angelo State when Tarleton Texan basketball continues right after this.
The Bruner Auto family is proud to host the Coach Lonn Reisman radio show and support Tarleton State University athletics.
We're going to do something a little different in the next
For
segment.
over 45 years, the Bruner family has offered new Chevrolet cars and trucks
those games
across
that
Stuber's area.
Can't even put it into
Encourage
words.
their staff by calling 254-968-2135 or visiting BrunerAuto.com. Bruner Auto family, your family since 1920.
I've never seen a game where the stat sheet was
For over 30 years, the Texan Club has been instrumental in giving Tarleton State University's student athletes and coaches the tools they need to be successful on the field, court, track, and in the classroom. Today, the Texan Club provides funding for athletic scholarships. The Texan Club is open to alumni, family, friends, and others who are proud supporters of the Purple and White. For more information, call 254-968-9178 or visit tarletonsports.com/Texan Club. Go Texans and Texans.
Well, before the game against Angelo State, folks, Chris Reisman doesn't often blow things out of proportion. I blow things out of proportion a lot. That's what radio folks do. Well, Chris Reisman said before the game on Monday that the game against Angelo State was the biggest game in the history of Wisdom Gym. The South Central Regional Championship was between 29-3 number 7 ranked Tarleton and 28-6 and number 19 ranked Angelo State. It was the rubber match. Both teams split the season series. The winner would go to the Elite Eight. It was such a great game that I don't think Coach and I could put it into words how great it was. So we're going to do something a little bit different that we usually don't do. But I spent a couple hours yesterday kind of cutting up some of the clips of missed free throws, made shots, some of the audio clips. And I think what impressed me the most that you'll hear is the fans in the background and just how much of an atmosphere it was. So let's relive for a few minutes what could have been the greatest game in Tarleton basketball history. It's time for the 2015 South Central Regional Championship from Wisdom Gym. It is Davide Carter and Omari Gadul, and Carter wins it, tips it in the backcourt. Right wing, Moe drained to 3. Right over to Mario Mayfield. Tarleton up 29-27. 27 seconds left in the first half. 16 on the shot clock. Shot block, Clemens. Got a huge block of the shot by Mayfield. And that will do it for the Ag Texas Farm Credit Services first half. The score, Tarleton State 29, Angelo State 27. Now Mayfield on the fast break. They'll kick it in the near corner. Woolridge, a three-pointer. He hit it and he was fouled. Holy cow. E.J. Reed, commanding right-handed dunk from the baseline. E.J. Reed says, how about that, Tarleton fans? And Tarleton State with 10 minutes and 20 seconds on the clock. They'll throw it down. Little Carter! Slam dunk! My goodness! Devin A. Carter! They don't call him the dark horse dunker for nothing. And Chris Beard has seen enough. And this place is going ballistic. 10:13 on the clock in the second half. Tarleton on top, 48-42. The Texans have it in the front court, leading by 4 with 9:35 left in the game. Over at the right wing, it is Malcolm Hamilton. Left-handed dribble, nowhere to go. Kelly all over him. Left side, E.J. Reed trying to three. My goodness, E.J. Reed has ice in his veins. And Tarleton with their largest lead of the night, 51-44. Left wing Hamilton, spin move, shot from the right side. No good, commanding that Carter. Devin A. Carter slams it home. How big has he been in this NCAA tournament? He does not want his season to end. And I'm going to try not to go into cardiac arrest. I'll cover for you, please do. I got some 4 years to live. Hart, down low, Hamilton slams it home. Malcolm Hamilton slams it into the hoop. Tarleton up 59-55. Over at the left elbow on the front court, Jones. Angelo State trailing by 4. 1:17 left in the game. Chris Jones at the right side. Kelly, Angelo hadn't hit a 3 in a long time. They're going to try here. Left side. Jones drains a huge 3. Oh my goodness. 59-58. Tarleton leads. 1 minute and 9 seconds left in the game. Large across the timeline. 60 seconds left in the game. Big offensive possession for Tarleton. Large over right side to Mo Lee. Bounce pass down to Carter. Far corner. Hamilton, three-pointer. Shot good! Malcolm Hamilton! That was a heck of a shot by Hamilton. 40 seconds. 39 seconds. 26 on the shot clock. Tarleton up 62-61. Hards at the right elbow. Goes to Mo Lee. Pick set Clemens. Lee releases towards the basket. Layup is good for Mo Lee! Huge shot! 29 seconds left. Tarleton up 64-61. A 3 can tie it here for Angelo State. Reisman Kelly. Left wing, Mayfield, three-pointer is good! It's a two-pointer though! It's a 2! His foot was on the line! And I think they'll have to review this here. Timeout called by Lonn Reisman with 20.2 seconds left in the game. Tarleton up 64-63. It's 17.3 seconds on the clock. Tarleton is up by 1. Riddick at the line, the biggest free throws in his life. Takes a deep breath. The whole crowd watching Riddick. Takes the free throw. And it's no good off the back iron. Angelo State will take a shot to win it here at Wisdom Gym and go to the Elite Eight. Here's Chris Jones at the left side. Jones drives to the hoop. The shot was blocked, but they're going to call a foul with 9.82 seconds left in the game. Chris Jones will go to the line for 2 free throws to give Angelo State the lead with 9.8 seconds on the clock. And Lonn Reisman wants the crowd up on its feet. Here we go. You can hear him, folks. Second free throw, Jones on his way. No good. Rebound, E.J. Reed. Reed is going to be fouled underneath the basket by Reisman Kelly with 8.6 seconds left in the game, but it's not done yet. How about this game?
I'm about to die.
Never over. Reed takes it in breath. Clemens and Hamilton in there to try to rebound. Gadul and Mayfield for Angelo State. Here's the free throw. On his way, and it's good. He got them both to go. Tarleton is up by 3. Mayfield will throw it in. In the backcourt, Chris Jones. 7 seconds. 6 seconds. Jones can tie it with a 3 here. They'll go to Holden. Holden's going to be fouled with 2.4 seconds left in the game. Not a bad foul there, though, for Tarleton State. If Tarleton holds on to win this game, this place is going to go berserk, as Tarleton State will win the South Central Regional Championship on their court. But there's time for Angelo State. Let's see if Holden misses it intentionally. Here we go, folks. The moment you've been waiting all season for. As Holden is at the line. He can make it a 1-point game here. Let's see if he misses it intentionally. And he does. Here we go. Loose ball. That's going to do it. Tarleton State is headed to the Elite Eight for the 3rd time in school history. Goodbye, Stephenville. Hello, Evansville.
That's pretty good.
Well, Coach, you listen to that game and you almost get nervous and just listening to it. And normally when we recap a game, we go over the stat sheet, but stat sheet was kind of irrelevant, wasn't it?
Well, the stat sheet was pretty much even. Casey, it came down to a couple of possessions, and you have 2 great teams playing. And I'll tell you, Angelo State had a great basketball team too, and we did. I give our fans a lot of credit for that victory, Casey. They pulled us through, and that gym was rocking, and the atmosphere was what we needed to push us through to win a game of that caliber. And like I said that night, you know, it was a tremendous victory for our team.
We don't talk about this. Well, we haven't talked about it, folks, but the last time Tarleton played in the South Central Regional Wisdom Gym, it was kind of the opposite feeling. Eric Cazanet for Central Oklahoma hit a 3 at the buzzer. It was the last game I called for Tarleton before coming back in 2012. I know for me, Coach, it was kind of a good feeling after what happened in 2008. Did you kind of feel the same?
Well, I'll be honest with you, Casey. I was sitting over there, and things start going through your mind, because I remember that night when we lost it at the buzz, with 1 or 2 seconds left, and we were up 2, and he hits a 3, and so you just play it out, and you've done the best job that you can do to coach the young men. Our staff did the best job, and I know our players played their hearts out, and so you just have to play the game out, and we did, and we were blessed and fortunate to win the ball game.
What was going through your head as Brentine Taylor missed that shot at the buzzer? I don't think he got it off in time, regardless. But what was your feeling when that happened?
It was just so fast and quick. It's just like he came up with a little bit of a loose ball, but I just really didn't think that had the opportunity. I was more worried about them when I called timeout of kicking it out to somebody and letting them heave up a 3 from outside. I've seen that play before, and that's what we were trying to make sure they understood.
And so Tarleton won that South Central Regional Championship by a final of 66-64. And Coach, before I let you go and bring Chris up for our next segment, it takes a lot of people to put on a South Central Regional tournament, a lot of hard work. So I'll kind of give you the floor to talk about how much work that was for your staff and some folks that you want to thank.
Well, and I probably have to have it all written down, because there were so many people involved, Casey. It's just, right off the bat, I don't want to miss people, but I know that, Troy just did a tremendous job with Susan and Terry and Kathy and Nate and yourself and so many people from our athletic communications area that worked so hard in making this a possibility, and all the volunteers that we had that night. There's just so many people that it takes to put on an event of this caliber, is that I can't say enough about how many compliments we got from the visiting schools, and how many compliments we got from the NCAA. In fact, we got a compliment all the way up from the championships committee, Donnie Wagner up there, and they wanted to look at what the gym looked like. And I thought we made this event very, very special, and there were so many people involved that I probably forgot. I haven't forgot their name, but there's just so many people that were involved.
We'd have to have a whole show to thank everyone.
I really would, and we will do that when the season's completely over, and thank people for what they've done, and the people that supported us through this whole event. It was just I think it was a magnificent time for Stephenville, Texas, to show off Stephenville, Texas, and we did, Tarleton State University, and it's just been a great time for our community in Tarleton to rally together and put something this special on, and then be able to cap it off with a victory and go to the Elite Eight. Just a tremendous spring, and like I said, I give God all the glory for this, for what we've been able to accomplish this year.
By the way, we have the South Central Regional Championship trophy here at Bruner Motors. We're going to be here until 12:30. Food from the pizza place. We'll give away gifts later in the half hour. If you want to take a picture with the trophy, you can do that afterwards. It's right up here, and it's weighs a lot, Coach. I tried to pick it up earlier. And,
well, don't drop it.
No, I'm not going to drop it. That would be that might be grounds for dismissal from the athletic department. That is the South Central Regional Championship game recap with head coach Lonn Reisman. Back in 30 seconds, associate head coach Chris Reisman and I will break down the matchup against Mount Olive from Evansville when Tarleton Texan basketball continues right after this. And welcome back to the Coach Lonn Reisman radio show. I have special guest for our third segment today. That is the 14th year associate head coach of the Texans, Chris Reisman. Coach Chris, you don't get a lot of time. It's such a celebration on Tuesday night, and then by Wednesday, you can't really celebrate much more because you got airplane tickets and flights. And
just an exhaustive feeling afterwards. I think Coach probably said the same thing. We didn't sleep much that night, even though we won. It just takes so much time to wind down after a thrilling victory like that. You got a day or two to kind of get yourself back in the office and get prepared and kind of catch up on some stuff that you missed. But then just the other day, we're back on a press conference call with the Elite Eight committee and getting things ready. So it's a nonstop turn of events. And really, Casey, for the last 3 weeks, it's kind of been that way with it being a grind this time of year, getting ready for the conference tournament, trying to position yourself in the regional, trying to be number one, going to Allen and being up there almost all week, and then coming back and only having a couple of days, and being thankful that you're sleeping in your own bed, but also wanting to make sure we're putting on the right type of regional and get prepared for that. So it's been a whirlwind the last 3 weeks, and it's like we told our guys, after this next week, that's it. There's no other week after that, and so just keep pushing through and don't let the grind get to you. And we gave our guys off a couple of days after the regional tournament, which I think was something great to recharge their batteries. One, get out of the gym, one, get away. And today will be our first practice since that win the other night. Now,
you and Coach Reisman have each been to 2 Elite Eights as coaches. What have you talked to the guys about that experience and how to handle yourself and maintain your composure?
Well, number one is, and I think I told you this after the game, I have much greater respect for how hard it is to get to the Elite Eight. In my first 4 or 5 years, we went twice, and then we also got beat and shot the buzzer. And as a young assistant at the time, I'm thinking this is great. You know, every year, every other year, we have a chance to go to the Elite Eight, and it's not that hard to get to. And then 7 years go by, and we've had some great teams in that 7 years, teams that have been very talented, and this didn't work out. And so just living in the moment is what we really relate to the guys. Keep playing for each other, keep taking it one game at a time. I told those guys when I passed out the Angelo State scouting report the night before the game how much I would just love to prepare another one. And after the game, and this is hours after the game, it seems like, because it took a long time to get everybody in there before we dismissed them, Mike Hart says, "Coach, you're going to prepare another scouting report." And everybody started laughing. I said, "Yeah, and I'm looking forward to it." So they understand the importance of one game at a time, living in the moment, and that's been pretty much our motto all year. So it's nice not to have to change that, to be honest with you, to get up for one big game. I mean, they've always lived game to game and never looked ahead.
We'll talk later about Mount Olive. Real quick, let's take a look at the Elite Eight bracket. It will start on Wednesday, March 25th from the Ford Center in Evansville, Indiana. The first game in that tournament will be your Tarleton Texans at noon Central Time taking on Mount Olive. That game will be broadcast on NCAA.com. A webcast will have the pregame show at 11:30. The 2:30 game, number 14 ranked Azusa Pacific, the champions out of the West region, will take on number 25 ranked Indiana, Pennsylvania out of the Atlanta region. Coach, a little bit nugget about that matchup. Two teams I'm not very familiar with.
Well, the Azusa Pacific was a NAI national power for years. They've been on probation the last few years as they got their NCAA certification, but they've always been a great basketball program. That's why you see them. This is their first NCAA appearance, just because this was their first year eligible. They do an outstanding job. Indiana, Pennsylvania has always been ranked here as of late. They're in that same region, actually beat West Liberty, which has been to so many straight Elite Eights. So such a big win for their program. But both very good teams, both have a lot of tradition, both good basketball programs.
6 o'clock game in the national quarterfinals at Southern New Hampshire, not ranked. The Penmans at 24-7 will take on the number 1 ranked team in the nation, the Florida Southern Moccasins at 32-1, the South Central Regional Championships. And no doubt Florida Southern will be a big favorite in that one, but you never know when you get this far, right?
And you never know. Southern New Hampshire reminds me a lot of the team that we took to North Dakota years ago. I mean, they have 7 losses. They went in as a low seed in that East region. I think we were 7 one year, and they'd be the top teams in the region to represent. So they're playing well at the right time. They have a lot of history in their program. You can see they've been to 7 Elite Eights. And Florida Southern, you got to really tip your hat off to them, because they've really been on top pretty much the entire year. So they've always been the biggest bullseye in the nation. People wanted to beat them. They played a tremendous schedule, and they're 32-1, and they hosted that region and beat a team, I think, for the 4th time, and you know how difficult that is. I mean, we've been in that same situation where we've had to play a team for the 4th time and beat them the first 3 and weren't able to do it. So I have a lot of respect for their program. I know they do a great job. I know that Coach Darn does a great job, and I think they'll be a very tough foe at the Elite Eight.
The 8:30 game Central Time, the final game of the quarterfinals, number 3 Bellarmine Knights, the Midwestern Region champion, at 30-3 against the number 4 ranked Minnesota State Moorhead Dragons at 35-3, number 2 seed out of the Central Region. And at least I've heard that Bellarmine very athletic and very big.
They are, and you know what? They're very well coached. Coach Davenport does a great job. They won the national championship, I think, in 2011, and I think they're well coached. I think their kids play extremely hard. I think they're proven in a good league, and they played a good non-conference schedule. I want to say they even played Florida Southern in non-conference, and so anytime Coach Davenport's team makes it this far, they're going to be very tough. And Minnesota State Moorhead, had a tremendous season, 35 wins, and I remember going through their schedule and saying, how could they win this many games? But they played an exempt tournament. They went to an Alaskan exempt tournament and won that. And I think they have the most wins in the nation right now, 35. And so they're obviously playing very well at a high level.
So the winner of the Mount Olive Tarleton game will take on the Azusa Pacific Indiana winner at 6 o'clock on Thursday. That game on national television on CBS Sports Network. The 8:30 game, the Southern New Hampshire Florida Southern winner against the Bellarmine Minnesota State Moorhead winner. And then the national championship game on Saturday, March 28th on Channel 11, locally CBS. And of course, the winner of the 2 semifinal games will face off on Saturday. Let's talk quickly, Coach, about the matchup with Mount Olive. They're the number team in the nation, the South Central Regional Championships under head coach Joey Higginbotham. What have you seen from them on tape?
Well, first of all, I enjoy watching them play on tape. I mean, they are a scrappy, hard-nosed, blue-collar, tough team. They play with a chip on their shoulder. They're fun to watch. They just don't back down, Casey. I mean, this is a team that played the number 1 team in the region, Lincoln Memorial, on their home floor, number 2 in the nation, and beat them by 20. Yeah. Then the next night they play Montevallo, who their record's a little deceiving because their best player in All-American, was hurt the first part of the year. They wouldn't have had 8 losses, but they were still the number 2 seed in the region. and they're down the majority of the game, and they just come roaring back the last 5 minutes. And they have tough kids that have bought in, that play for each other. They're a very exciting team to watch, and they're a very difficult team to prepare for, and we're going to have our hands full because they just play extremely hard.
Little nugget for you fans out there, the last time that Mount Olive made it to the Elite Eight was in 2005 in Grand Forks, North Dakota, the first year that you made it to the Elite Eight. Do you remember watching them play 10 years ago?
I remember them being up there, but at the same time, that was our first year, and everything was just so in the moment. And I'm pretty sure we were really just living one game at a time at that time as well. And we were getting used to the arena, and North Dakota had about 10 inches of snow that year.
Yeah.
It was in the 10 to 20 degrees, and so there were so many factors. I remember Mount Olive, but don't know if we particularly sat down and watched them play at that time.
I have to ask you about one of their players, 5'9" junior point guard Dontel Bright leads the team, 14 points per game. He's 8th in the nation with 190 total assists. Is he comparable to any point guard that we've seen this year?
I don't think so. I think he's really actually their 2 guard. Number 10 starts at the point, Jaquan Blount, and Dontrell Bright he's an undersized, super quick 2 guard that can shoot the 3, that can get to the basket, but at the same time, he's not selfish. As you alluded to, he averages 6 assists a game. I don't know if we've seen his level of quickness and athleticism at that size this year, and so he brings something to the table that's very, very difficult. And I think the Lone Star has prepared us for great players. I think the Lone Star has prepared us for good teams, but they're a different type of good. And I said the same thing about Colorado Springs, but this is even one step further because they have guys that have been on their team that are 4-year players that have bought into what they're doing, and you just don't go 31-3 without being very good. Let's be honest. I mean, they've played in a good league, and they've played in a good region, and they've beaten some good teams, obviously, and they're playing well at the right time. And it's really kind of, they have different people step up every night, but he's always kind of been the one constant that you have to guard him when you're going into a game, and you have to game plan for him, and he's a very good player.
It's always funny when people come up to you and say, what do you think about that team Tarleton's playing on Wednesday? Are they any good?
Right.
Well, they're in the Elite Eight and 31-3, so
No, they're
a pretty good team,
There's not really anybody that, I think you look at this roster, you say, man, you wish you played them, but they're definitely not one of those type of teams that have been in the top 10 in the country. They're very well coached. Everybody I talk to as I've been going through my scouting process has had nothing but great things to say about their head coach and how good of a job that he does, and how good of a coach he is, and how he gets the most out of his players. And so it's going to be a great matchup for us. It's something as a coach that personally I'm looking forward to preparing for, and have been preparing for the last 48 hours. And so it's going to be an exciting matchup. It's a 12 o'clock game, and I think it'll really tip off the Elite Eight the right way.
Coach Chris, thanks for your time. Best of luck getting ready for Mount Olive.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
That is Associate Head Coach Chris Reisman. Back after this with Head Coach Lonn Reisman as we wrap up this 11th edition of the Coach Lonn Reisman Radio Show. And welcome back to Burner Motors as we wrap up this special edition of the Coach Lonn Reisman Radio Show, the Elite 8 edition, as Tarleton State on Monday will travel to Evansville, Indiana. They'll fly into Louisville. They'll make the drive about an hour and a half, Coach, from Louisville to Evansville.
About 100 miles.
At 100 miles over to Louisville. They'll have the banquet Monday night at the Ford Center. And I've never been to Elite. I've been to an Elite 8 as a fan twice, but I imagine as a participant, it's a pretty first-class event.
It is, Casey. I mean, it's something that, it's kids don't get to experience this very often. Students don't get to experience what we're going to get to experience. And we've been fortunate enough to go to 2, and this is our 3rd. And it's just so hard. Like Coach Chris said, it's so hard to get there. I want our kids to go in there, and I want them to enjoy the moment, but I want them to go in there to prepare to win for the moment also.
I want to thank our entire live audience, just an outstanding audience here at Brunner Motors, and we appreciate the community support. Definitely wouldn't be here having one more show without each and every one of you. So we're going to give out a car wash and an oil change, courtesy of Brunner Motors. Our first winner, Dexter Vaughn. Dexter, where you at? Raise your hand. You're going to find Terry Hardcastle there in the back, and somebody's going to give you a car wash and an oil change. Rosa's got him. Lee Smith. Lee, where you at? Lee. So Lee and Dexter, y'all are going to fight for a car wash and oil change. Not a physical fight, but you're going to battle for that. So one of you is going to get an oil change, one's going to get a car wash, thanks to our live audience here at Brunner Motors. Quick Tarleton athletic announcements. Texan baseball 9-8 overall. They split a 2-game series with Cameron this past weekend. They're going to travel to Canyon today. We'll hope that the weather's good up there because they can't really take much more cancellations.
It's been a very hard spring for our spring sports with the rain.
And so they'll be in Canyon today, a 4-game series with West Texas. It starts at 7 o'clock. Coach Amada's Texans are 13-11 on the year. They have postponed their 4-game set at home against Midwestern State. They're going to play Sunday at 3 o'clock now, a doubleheader, and then Monday at 5 o'clock against Midwestern State if you can get out. And I believe, is that at Midwestern State?
No, it's here.
It's here, so thank you. That will be here at the softball complex, Coach, so we hope everybody can get out and support the Texans. Congratulations to Chase Rathke and Eufema Edom, who wrapped up the indoor track and field season this past weekend. Edom and Rathke each named NCAA All-Americans, and that's not an easy thing to do, Coach.
No, both have really represented our university in a first-class manner.
So congratulations to Justin Hobbs, Pat Ponder, and that entire coaching staff and the players on the track and field team, and to Jason Eufema on being named NCAA All-Americans. The Texan golf team closed out the Midwestern State Invitational by shooting 630 this past week. Tarleton State's next tournament will be on April 2nd at Western New Mexico in Goodyear, Arizona. Remember, for complete results on all Tarleton athletic programs, visit www.tarletonsports.com. Our final Coach Lonn Reisman radio show is going to be on Tuesday, March 31st, right here at Brunner Motors. It'll be a Tuesday. Coach will be at the Final Four, Division I Final Four that weekend in Indianapolis. So Tuesday, March 31st, final Coach Lonn Reisman radio show. Just a quick note on tickets for the NCAA Elite Eight. If you'd like to sit behind the Tarleton bench at the Ford Center, you need to contact Susan Burton no later than 2 p.m. today at 254-968-9185. You can get your tickets at the Ford Center on Ticketmaster, but if you get the Ticketmaster tickets, you can't sit behind the bench. You have to get those tickets by 2 o'clock today from Susan Burton at 968-9185. The Texans again will open up against number 9 ranked Mount Olive out of the southeastern region on Wednesday, March 25th at noon. You can watch the webcast at ncaa.com. I would prefer that you listen to the radio broadcast at 11:30. We'll go on air with the Coach Chris Reisman pregame interview. I'll have a visit with Mount Olive head coach Joey Higginbotham. We'll have keys to the game, starting lineups, pregame show at 11:30 right here on 90.5 FM KTRL in Stephenville, Granbury, and Fort Worth, or around the world at tarletonsports.com/listen live. Tarleton Athletics will open Wisdom Gym to students, faculty, fans, anyone that can't make the trip to Evansville. You can go to Wisdom Gym. The doors will open 30 minutes before the tip-off, so 11:30 for the Mount Olive game, and you can watch the game on the big screen there in the gym with other Tarleton fans, the official watch party. Make sure you stay tuned to tarletonsports.com or at Tarleton Sports on Twitter for updated information on the Elite Eight and Tarleton basketball. I want to thank the pizza place in Stephenville for providing the food today and all season long. We really appreciate the staff at the pizza place for that. I want to thank Chris Reisman for joining us as our guest. Our producer, Lance McFarland, back at the KTRL studio. Great job, Lance, handling some things on the fly today. I sure appreciate that. And I want to thank our on-site engineer to my left, Mr. Joe Lidcottle from KWBY Radio for engineering the show. And thanks to the Brunner Auto family for sponsoring the show. Last but not least, thanks to each and every one of you for listening and for your support of Tarleton Texan Athletics. Coach, one final question for you. Some coaches would be content with a trip to the Elite Eight. I mean, you've accomplished so much. A school record, 30 wins has never happened. But how focused are you on not only going to Evansville, but picking up that first national championship?
Well, Casey, it's like Coach Chris said, you don't get there very often. It's very hard to get there, and I think we're very focused on taking it one game at a time. And it's, you as a coach, you always dream about these opportunities and these moments, and these moments don't come along every so often. And so there's no doubt in my mind that if you ask me, do I want to win the national championship? Yeah, it's been a dream of mine my whole life. I mean, I've been here for 28 years, and it's 28 years of culminating everything that we've accomplished. There's a lot of things we've done here. We've been to Sweet 16s, we've been to Elite Eights, we've been to the Final Four, but we've never played in a national championship game. And that's a dream. That's been a goal of ours, and we're going to do our very best to take each game the way we need to and play as hard as we can. And one day we're going to try to climb that mountain to the top of it and win it all.
Coach, congratulations on a historic season so far. Best of luck in Evansville. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Casey.
That's going to do it for the edition of the Coach Lonn Reisman Radio Show for the 27th year head coach of the Texans. I'm Casey Hogan saying so long for Brunner Motors. Until next time, have a great weekend, everyone, and I'll talk to you Wednesday at 11:30 a.m. from Evansville, Indiana.